Welcome back, everyone, to our prayer journey with Mike Toth as we continue stepping through the book of Mark, one verse at a time. Today, chapter 12, verses 13 through 17. Today a lot of people would have trouble saying, you know what, I really don't see the religious influence in our governments anymore, and they would be dead wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because the main religion right now of the government is secularism. Yes, it's a religion. You know why I know that? It restricts what you can think, what you can say. Social media has done a good job of restricting things you can say on media. You can't say certain things about abortion. You can't say certain things about illness, about certain types of marriages. You can't say a lot of things because the doctrine of social media, which is aided by the government, is restricting this speech on purpose to indoctrinate people into religion. And I do totally the opposite with that. I don't want to indoctrinate anybody. What I want to do is give you a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's all I talk about. Now, last I left off in the last video, what happened? The religious leaders came to Jesus and they were trying to trick him. And what did he do? He lays out to them that in a parable that is so clear that even they could understand it. Sometimes Jesus gave parables that were difficult to understand. This was clear cut. God's going to come and he's going to remove your vineyard, your destiny to give out the word of God, and he's going to give it to another. And it was so apparent that even they agreed with what he was saying the vineyard master would do. So now, what did they do? They were caught. They were caught before the people. They could not renounce them. And they were more concerned about what men thought than what God thought. So what are they going to do? What they're going to do is enlist politicians. Have we not seen the same thing in this country? It's one way or the other. The politicians need help. You can't say this on the internet. If the internet needs help, they say to the politicians, you can't take away our exemption. It's a religion set up just like Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. It's set up with its own doctrine, telling people what to do. So they bring the politicians, and let's pick up our story here in Mark 12, verse 13. And they sent unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words. Now, the Herodians, what are they? They're like Republicans or Democrats, politicians, but right under the guy who runs that whole area. What they're hoping for here is to get Jesus on some kind of insurrection for doing something wrong, that he could be punished by the state, potentially killed. So in verse 14, and when they come, they say unto him, Master, we know that thou art true and carest for no man. For thou regardest not person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Now, do you think these men were paying? Of course they were. They had to pay. The Romans occupied them. If they didn't pay their taxes, they would be put to death. So they're trying to get Jesus to say, well, it should be, because this is what the Jewish people believe. We give our money to God. We don't give it to, foreign nations. We don't pay tribute. And this is what they're thinking. So they're trying to get Jesus to say, no, you should not give that money to him. And then he's insurrection, and they can bring him up on charges and have him executed. Or the other way around it is that he could agree that you pay taxes, and the Pharisees had the media of the day and could twist the word and bring it out and say, even though we pay taxes, Jesus said you should pay taxes. So what is Jesus going to do? Well, let's pick it up and see in verse 15. Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, Why tempt me? Bring me a penny, that I may see it. And they bought it, and he said unto them, Whose is this image and subscription? And they said unto him, Caesar. And Jesus answering said unto them, Render unto the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God. You know what Jesus is really saying in this statement here? What he's really saying is this: God is the ruler of the universe. God allows this image to be on the penny. If God allowed this image to be on the penny, who should you be giving the tribute to? They had to give it willingly to Caesar, because, like it or not, Caesar at that time is God's man. And this is why we got to watch what we say about our political leaders. We might not like them. They might be ungodly. That does not mean we do not respect them and we do not submit to them unless they go against God. That's the way things should stand. But this also supports what was later said by Paul in Romans. Listen to what Paul says in Romans. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Will thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is a minister of God for thee, for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is a minister of God, of revenger to execute wrath upon them that do it evil. Wherefore, ye must needs be subject not only to wrath, but for conscience sake. For this cause pay tribute. Also, for they are God's minister, attending continually unto this very thing. You know, God says, and Jesus said this in here, don't owe any man anything. If they put that tribute on you, you'd pay it, even if it's hard, even if it's heartbreaking. And we trust God with the rest. Now, I always get back to this relationship thing. It is important and imperative that you know Jesus Christ, because we don't want religion. And in fact, I'll tell you what, I won't even give it to you today. Go to notreligion.com and see what they say about religion and about relationship. So until next time, may Jesus increase as we decrease.